Here we go. Hi, welcome to another episode of Slay with me, Leigh M. Clark. I am the founder and curator of a best-selling national book series called Slay the USA, which features powerful women who are leaving their mark around the country. And that has brought me to one of the most incredible women I've had the privilege of meeting, and I've interviewed so many women over the last couple of years. Simone Knego, who is coming to us from Sarasota, originally from Buffalo. She's been in Sarasota over 25 years, a keynote speaker, a coach. She's written multiple books and been featured in books and just, oh, she's got an incredible podcast. I could go on and on. There's so many cool things, but we're going to get into it. Nice to meet you, Simone.
Hi, so good
Nice
to
to
see
see
you.
you. I should say
Yes,
nice to see you, Simone. Nice to meet you for everybody else. Welcome,
yes.
Simone.
Thank
And
you.
anything I missed on your multi-hyphenate journey?
I've done a lot of things in my life, but I think those are the ones we can focus on.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, we're gonna play 10 ways to slay, but today it's gonna be 11, 6 for you, 5 for me. Just wanna I want obviously the listeners to get to know you a little bit better. She was featured in Slaying Sarasota, had an incredible chapter in there. Just she's traveled the world. She's had so many awesome experiences. So at the end of the episode, we'll talk to you more about her books and how to get some of the wisdom you're about to listen to. But I want to start off with your podcast, right? So you have a podcast with your daughter, which I think is so incredible. One, that your daughter likes you enough to have a podcast, because I know a lot of moms feel like their daughter would like, but I met your daughter. She not only came, you guys came to the event together, right, in Nashville, and
Yeah.
then also at the Sarasota launch. And you guys have so much age, wisdom, beauty, like between you. It's awesome. So what was that like creating that? What's it been like? You have 150 episodes, you said, so tell me more.
Yeah, it's been an amazing experience. It's funny because first of all, never would have thought I would have been a keynote speaker, an author, a podcast host, but to have a podcast with one of my kids, as a mom of six kids, I mean, I think I'm doing pretty good there. But we created it because there were things that she was struggling with. And then we would have these conversations, and she's like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. And she said, maybe we should record these because maybe it could help other people feel better as well. And so now it's become every other week we do an episode by ourselves, and the following week we have a guest. And it really is kind of our version of therapy with each other, which is such a cool thing that she can come to me with things that she's struggling with, and I'll do the same thing. One day I'm like, I am so anxious right now, or I'm like so nervous about this stuff. She's like, it's because you have anxiety, right? And I'm like, nobody's ever said that to me before. She's like, oh my gosh, mom, you totally have anxiety and you need to do something about it. But to be able to have those kind of conversations with your kid, I think is a really special thing. And I hope that by mothers and daughters watching our podcast, listening to our podcast, that they're going to take away some of the things that we've learned along the way that have helped us create this really strong relationship.
And hopefully they further the conversation too, right? Like hopefully that opens, but the fact that you guys show up, have the conversations, like start there, and then obviously to be generous enough with that to share it with others to help others, I think that's incredible.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, again, it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah.
So, okay, you have this amazing company that you've started with having women collaborate on books all over the country. Why did you start it? Like, what was your thought process saying, this is what I want to do? Because I know you've done a lot of really cool things, but this is what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's how most cool things grow is in a need. And I felt a need having gone to networking things for, 10 plus years with my charity. Not even really that I needed anyone to donate. We had some corporate donors and stuff. Just wanted to connect with high vibe women. And after a decade, I was like, I really don't even know these people at all. Like, why does she have so many kids? And like, what happened to her
Yeah.
dad? And I just had all these like questions, and it made me realize there is a gap of authenticity between we get so much on surface online. And then a lot of these events, we do the quantity thing where we try to see 30, 40, 50, 60 women at once.
Mm.
It's never more than passing business cards and we should do lunch or whatever. And we do that to maximize time, but we're really not getting the impact. And it's funny, I had somebody on the show the other day and they were talking about this woman who told this elaborate story at an event. And I was like, oh, what kind of event was it? She was like, Well, actually, it was like a yoga thing, but we were late to start. So she told us her life story. And I thought, you see, I knew there wasn't a place. Where is the place, right? Unless you're a keynote, which you are, which thankfully you are, because your wisdom needs to go far. But unless you're a keynote or a panelist, no one really gets to hear the story.
Mm.
And also, growing up reading People magazine and, in the Kardashian era, like here are all these people we give a lot of attention to, but do we really know like whose parents are first generation immigrants? Do we know about their birth order? So it came out of natural curiosity, but then grew because there is a gap. And I would rather get to know 20, 25 women really well than to get to do surface conversation with 60. And that's kind of how the project bloomed.
Yeah, and I love that because I was just done at an event in Cleveland and there were 100 and something people there, but we were all split up by tables. So I was leading basically a workshop, and to watch these women interact, most of them, some of them knew each other, but a lot of them didn't know the people at their table. So to watch that connection that happens, and I think that's the thing that we miss a lot as women is that it is so surface level and we don't really get down to what's your story? Tell me about you. And a lot of
Yeah.
women will say, I don't have a story. Well, that's so not
Oh,
true, right? I bet that kills you.
kills me. Breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart. Yeah, breaks my heart. As far as travel, because I know you just said Cleveland and you are like everywhere all the time, but travel's been a really important part of your family, which with six kids, like, I mean, I'm getting pictures of the Sound of Music and like, like you've got them in the Swiss Alps and they're dancing and they're all well coordinated. What's it been like traveling with your family? What are some things that have brought you wisdom from your travels?
So sometimes it's really difficult. I mean, people love to sugarcoat things and you send all the pictures that were so beautiful from the trip. And, sometimes it's just chaos, right? I mean, when the kids were little, so we adopted our youngest three children. So we have two children from Ethiopia that are now 21 and 17. And then our 19-year-old is from South Korea. And then the older three look just like me and my husband. And so yeah, there were many times that it was complete chaos, but what I learned is don't worry about what anybody else is thinking. Like when you're on that plane, one of the things that I did when the kids were little is I would go on and say, okay, this is like their second time on a plane. I know it might be brutal. It's more brutal for me. Like I am so stressed about this. Here is, and I would literally write a note or something to give to them. I remember someone said, give them lollipops, right? But to just say like, I know that this is frustrating, but it's really hard for the parent because it is so stressful because you're so worried your kids are going to make noise. So that was one big thing I learned. But also just like enjoy every moment, even in the chaos, especially in travel. Like there's going to be days where, okay, they're going to freak out at the restaurant and such is life, right? I mean, we're all human. We all have different opinions on everything, different things that we like, and it's just learning to be able to move forward anyways. But
Yeah, it must be hard to pick meals for six
oh
kids
my gosh.
to in a foreign country where everyone like wants a chicken nugget.
Yeah.
Where's the furthest you've taken them?
Mm. So they've been to several places in Europe. I'm trying to think of, they've been to Israel. They, I'm trying to think if we haven't all gone to places in Africa yet together, but like certain kids, we've taken certain places. So I would say that's probably the farthest is places in Europe, and then again, bringing Noah home from South Korea, that was a 16-hour flight, probably from hell. He screamed the entire, well, 16 out of the 18 hours he cried. That
Mhm.
was pretty brutal. I learned a lot from that. I thought like I knew everything as a parent. I didn't know anything, right? And then obviously from Ethiopia, we traveled home with them from Ethiopia. So we've had a lot of very long journeys, but just some really cool trips like Brazil, and it's fun, right? Even though it's chaotic, I wouldn't want to not bring them. And even now, as they get older, we do a trip every summer, and we say whoever can make it come, and they all have come. They're all like, you're paying, we're coming, right? And that's
Right?
and that's that's the thing to learn too. People are like, how do you get all your kids to show up? I'm like, you pay for it and then they show up.
You're buying
So
them flying.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Exactly. The same
Yeah.
applies to me if you want to invite me. Like if you're buying and flying, I'm totally down. If you need to like replace a kid, I'm older than you, but you know,
Okay. Yeah.
fine.
I don't think you are older than me, actually.
Well,
So, yeah.
I mean, Botox has been good to you then. I don't, or it's all that, all that good traveling air.
Yeah, it's a good traveling air.
Yeah.
What's the coolest place you've ever gone?
Interesting. Let me think. I would say Hawaii. I mean, like Hawaii just for me was mesmerizing. I've been to
Mm,
like London, I've been to Aruba, I've been to Paris. I went to Paris by myself, which was really weird and sad. But no, when I went to Hawaii, I felt like I was on another planet. Like it was just so wild to me to see like the extent of the mountains, the greenery. Like
mm.
it's just so not America. And even London has these like American climatary feels and things. Hawaii was just like a whole other, yeah, it was really
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, we've been to Hawaii a couple of times, and I would agree that just looking at like a lava flow, like, right? That's crazy. The fact that
Mhm.
there's a volcano erupting, and then there's some areas that look like the moon and other areas that are so lush and tropical. Like, it's fascinating
It
to,
is fascinating.
yeah, yeah.
We're doing Slaying Honolulu on account of that. So
Really?
yes,
Oh, that is so cool.
it is on the map for this year. I would love, to take my boyfriend and my son and we go to things twice, so it is a long flight commitment. But now that we've been to the West Coast, I'm like, we stop in LA for a night. That's my thing.
Yeah,
Like go
yeah,
to LA and then do the 5 hour flight. It's not a big deal.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. With you, as far as what was like one thing in writing your chapter for Slaying Sarasota, like obviously okay, I'm gonna say this question a few ways. First, you have a book, and then you were part of Slaying Sarasota, and now you have another book coming out.
Mhm.
So talk to me about the first one, then talk to me what it was like being part of Collective and why you're excited about the new one. So three
Okay.
question.
Yes, three-part question, no problem. So, my first book I wrote, it's called The Extraordinary Unordinary You. It's all about realizing what you're capable of and recognizing that the little things you do every day matter. I was really under the belief for so long that if you're not the big, powerful celebrity, if you're not the big philanthropist, you're really not making a difference in the world. And what I've learned over time, it's that the little things you do every day matter. It's those are the steps that you take to change the world. And so that book is really about my life, right? It's about the adoption of my kids, climbing Kilimanjaro, which we didn't talk about yet, but
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So, um, and then I was really interested in doing a collaborative book as well because I do work with so many women that to hear other women's stories, I think it's just so powerful. Olivia and I actually did a podcast episode yesterday, basically, what's your story? Because so many women think that they don't have a story, right? Or and it's a killer because like I didn't know I had a story for a long time. The first time I was asked to share my story, I was like, "What story?" They're like, you have six children, you do all these amazing things, like you've run a marathon, you've done this." And I was like, "Wait, that's just who I am. That's not a story." But what I realized, it's so important that we share our story. So that's what I was really excited about being in a collaborative book to be alongside so many interesting women who have unbelievable stories. And then the last book is really based on what I worked on for the last few years, which is really understanding how I built confidence. So it's called Real Confidence, a simple guide to go from unsure to unshakable. I was someone who struggled with self-doubt for the majority of my life, and it's really using my process. It's called the Real Method, which is respect yourself, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, and live without limits. And so it really breaks down that process of how I got to not be afraid to walk forward even when it's scary, being willing to try things that I've never tried before. At 53, just you just keep going. And so that comes out February 17th. I'm super excited about it. It took me way longer than I ever thought it would, but I rewrote it a couple of times because I wanted it to be just the way I wanted it to be instead of just putting something out there. So it definitely took a little bit of extra time.
Yeah, and I love that it's got actionable strategies. I think that's so important. Like we can talk about wisdom, and a lot of wisdom is gained over years and conversation, right? And perspective. But how to apply it is so important. And like really like because once you've already had the aha moment, it's nice to reflect, but to bring other people with you, it's like
Mm.
debunking on destructuring and saying what happened. We have this therapist in Nashville. I love her, Vanessa Bentley, and she's like, I have a 4 step method. What happened? How did it affect you then? How is it showing up now? And what can we do to mitigate it? Period.
Hmm.
Like, and so I love that you broke it down in the real method to really just, and especially living limitlessly.
Yeah.
So like that's something everyone needs to embrace more of, and shaking judgment and like all the things, just really just, again, to your point, being proud of the story that you have and realizing that your life is your masterpiece. It is a story.
Mm, absolutely. Do you feel like when you listen to what I just said, I mean, do you feel like there's limits that you place on yourself? Because this is one of the things I looked at with myself and with other women is that yes, there's outside influences that say we're not good enough, we're not pretty enough, but so much of it is what we say to ourselves. So I'm curious if you felt like there was a period of time in your life that you have limited or you did limit yourself because there was something that you didn't like or something that just wasn't going the way you thought it was going to go.
Yeah, I think just the corporate job thing, right? So I've been holding on to that a lot to make my parents proud. I mean, honestly, I'm 46 years old. I'm still like, oh, I want to make my parents proud. And that's very nice. But what I want is not what they want. The blueprint. So all these years, I started a business at 23, got shook. I was like, oh my God, what if somebody like, I don't know anything. What if I get a
Mm,
it sues me? So I moved to New York with $1,000, worked on Madison Avenue. And then from there, I was in corporate America, which in hindsight, and somebody just used this expression on an interview the other day, was like velvet handcuffs, like, right? So I like never really loved what I did, but I also felt safe. But did I feel safe? I didn't really feel safe. So I at one point became kindly, like did the kindly thing to balance that, because I felt this inauthenticity about who I was. And so my limiting belief, although maybe inherited or just conjured, was the only way to stay safe is to stay in corporate, like that,
mm.
because that's like having rich parents. If you have a nervous breakdown, they'll pay for you to have a nervous breakdown, and like they might cause it, but they'll pay for it, right?
Yeah.
And so there was that for so long. And in this series, I mean, here I am interviewing women in city by city by city who all went for it, and I'm like,
Mm,
I'll do it soon, guys, I swear. And I decided to change my narrative. Like I was like, okay, so I've learned over this whole series that you really do write your story. When I interview a woman, she'll tell you the whole thing. Is she the victim? Is she talking about other people? Is she talking about her dreams? Like we write our own stories. So if I write into there that there's a possibility of failure, then there is one. However, my narrative is now that my corporate job got in the way of me making money. That's
mm.
my new narrative. And I'm like really embracing that on the same concept of what you're speaking of, and that evolution of that limitless living is I'm putting that. Yes, of course I might fail if I think I might fail. And yes, of course, corporate was safer to have a nervous breakdown if I want to have a nervous breakdown. Like, why am I planning for, and not that worst case scenarios don't pop up, but am I limiting who I'm meant to become? Why is there this nagging voice? Why is there this calling? Why do I have a whole charity just so I can feel whole? Why can't my life make me feel whole? And I
Mm.
can still be charitable, but not to supplement like this thing. So yes, I absolutely feel that. And every single day, I think you write the book, and you say this is the next chapter is going to be this. And so I want it to be unlimited. And I continue to align myself with women who I feel are out of my league. Honestly, I mean, all day long, I feel that these women are out of my league, and that's why I want to be in the same room. Like,
And they feel exactly the same way about you,
thank you.
right? So, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And I think that that's the mindset that we have to go in with is that we're all kind of doing our thing through life. There's not one person that doesn't struggle. And we all doubt ourselves at sometimes, but at certain times in our lives, but we have to be able to move forward. And one of the things, so I have this little, and I'm going to throw it in here because it kind of makes sense here. This little mindset hack that I use, and it's called Ctrl-Alt-Delete, which is back in the day how we would reset our computer, right? When it would freeze up, hold those three keys, you start over. And I use that for my mind because when I start getting those negative thoughts that come in that say, like, I'm not good enough, or, wait, I don't deserve to be in this room, it's instantly like, okay, wait, you have control over these thoughts. I mean, they're going to come in your head, but you can control how they move forward. So it's the idea of like, no, no, that's not true. So the alt part. So controlling your thoughts, understanding that you have control. The second part is alt, which is the alternative. So instead of saying, I don't belong here, I absolutely belong here, right?
Yeah,
Or instead of, what if I fail when I succeed?
right,
And so I think that is so important. And then lastly, it's the deleting the things that don't serve you, right? Deleting the comparison game, deleting the things that you're holding on to, like your corporate job that
right.
aren't serving you anymore. And I think that when we can use that little hack in, right now. Like I'm struggling with this. This is how I use the hack. And I feel like that's really helped me get through certain pieces where I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough, or, everybody in this room is better than me. No, they're not. They're not.
Yeah, and I also say that in a loving way because I'm such a
Yep.
fan of all of you, but I think it's such important wisdom that you're imparting is, and I had this conversation this morning about mindfulness, like, right, debunking mindfulness, because I went to a float spa once and they're like, oh, go think of nothing. And I was like, NOTHING, nothing. Like, I can't do that. Right. So I was like, what is this mindfulness? Everybody, what does it mean? We do yoga and like put oil on our scalp. I don't understand. But to control your thoughts. So I thought having a busy mind was having a strong mind. That's incorrect. It's deciding where you want to point it. If you want to point it, to your point, at people who don't like you or think you're not enough, you can find them. They're out
Mm,
there. There's 8
yep.
billion people on the planet. You want to point it towards people who like see you and see your worth. You're making an active choice every day who you point your Care Bear stare at and whether or not you're getting goodness reflected back at you. And so I think it's really important, to your point, that Ctrl-Alt-Delete or counter the negative with a positive. Like,
Right.
what if I like go bankrupt? What if I win the lottery? Like, because we are aware of our thoughts. We may not be aware when they first come into your,
Mm,
but like then once we have the thought, we then have an absolute choice on what we do with that. Do we spin out?
right.
And then understanding too, like, to your point, how does that serve me? Like freaking out right now. What is that? And if
Yeah.
it needs to happen emotionally, you need to freak out. Honor that. Do
Yeah.
it. You know?
Freak out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Freak out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, and I also wanted to know, like in terms of the wisdom you've amassed over your travels specifically, because I want to talk about Kilimanjaro, so that's kind of what I'm getting,
Hmm.
is like what happened that in your travels that really shaped your philosophy and the way you see the world and your experiences.
So Kilimanjaro was a life-changing experience for me. I climbed it in 2015. It was something that was not a bucket list item. A friend of ours had climbed it the year before, raising money for the Livestrong Foundation. He called my husband and asked him if he was interested. And the way I tell the story is my husband said, one, two, three, no, thank you, call Simone. And so he did. He called me and he said, would you be interested? And I said yes. And I was the yes girl for a very long time. I would say yes to everything for fear of, I didn't want to let anybody down, didn't want to disappoint anybody. And this was a yes that changed my life because as I was climbing, yes, it was really difficult, one foot in front of the other. I'm not a climber. I live in Florida at sea level, right? I have 16 stairs in my house. But that thought process of doing it scared, doing it anyways. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things I learned is that it really is about putting one foot in front of the other and not worrying about what anybody else is thinking, what anybody else, like, I mean, I had people say to me, oh, do you really think you're going to make it to the top? No, I think I'm going to make it halfway. That's why I'm doing it. Thank you so much for your support. Right.
Right?
And, and so one of the things I really realized about that part was that when people can't see themselves in the situation, they can't see you in the situation. So I learned that I can't take that stuff seriously, right? And I don't need to be judged by anybody else. For example, oh, you're leaving your family for almost 2 weeks to go climb a mountain. Don't you think that's selfish? No, I think that's self-care, but thanks for asking, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it's really that I changed a lot of things in my, the way I thought about things after that trip because I realized that I'm the one holding myself back because I'm listening to what anybody else says, right? And I can do whatever I want to do. If I set the goal and put in the work, right? And it's not just setting a goal because I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I don't believe in wait until Monday. I believe in doing it now. And I think that's one of the biggest things I've taken away is that if you're even curious, try it, right? What's the
Right.
worst that's going to happen? It's not going to work out. You fail forward, you try something else next time.
100%. And that's also back to the corporate example. Like it's still there.
Yeah.
It's there right now. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, it's right there. If I wanted to go back, there's no shortage of where I've been. There's only the shortage of where I could go, right? So it's like that's really, I think that holding on to that. And also what you said about shirking judgment. Like, I think it's impossible and amazing that so many people want to be seen and no one wants to be judged. I think it's
Mm,
hysterical. Like,
yeah.
you want to be seen. You don't mind being judged as long as it's favorable. How
Right.
going to work out for you. Like even Jesus didn't pull that off. And like, apparently he was the original nice guy. So like, I've embraced that part. There's duality in life, and there's a part of like evolving in self-actualization is you don't really need cosigners, right? And to your point, I think you stated it beautifully. Not everyone wants to go where you're going or could picture themselves
Mm,
succeeding. And that's where I've been stuck a long time. I have a very corporate dad, and God love him, he's still working, he's amazing. And I love that about him, and that's something I became. And my mom has her own business, but is kind of like we're set because he's corporate and I can kind of all the things. And so this conversation has been ongoing about the safety of moving into this new space, but that's not her journey. And that's not how she could envision herself. Even when I started working from home in 2003, she was like, "You're never going to get anything done."
mm,
That's her in that
yeah.
situation. I'm so ADD. If I go to work, it's like, "Oh my God, did you see Squid Games?" And like, you want to get coffee? I can't, like, people are very distracting to me. So I've known since 2003, like 17 years before the pandemic and everybody shifted, that's where I focus the best. So that I think it took me a long time to master that not everyone thinks like you. And I know that sounds so basic, but in everything, even when you think someone's inconsiderate, did you ask them to consider it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So we go around thinking maybe everybody has the same mindset. They're just deciding not to do what we want, but like that's not how the world bends. So I think like shaking that judgment and knowing just the way you said it is like they can't imagine themselves. What they're saying to you is what they would say to their themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we never know what anybody else is going through. People will say, "Oh, and if you could walk a day in their shoes, you can never walk a day in someone else's shoes. There's never going to be an exact situation where you're exactly on par with someone else, and you shouldn't want to do that anyways." So, the other day I was going through the Starbucks drive-through, and I don't know, I had shoulder surgery about 8 weeks ago, and so like I'm getting some mobility back, but it's still not 100%. And so like I'm turning into the drive-through and going slower than I probably normally would. And this woman behind me just like honked at me. I'm like, really? Like, you need your coffee that bad. It's going to take one extra second. And so, of course, when I got up to the window, I asked the barista, well, I guess it was the cashier, to if I could pay for her drink. And I said, just give her a little message, tell her that patience is a virtue. I don't know if she told her that or not, but like, okay, like just think, right? Is
Yeah.
it really that big of a deal that you have to be rude or you have to, call someone out on something? Like what's the value of it? Like go around the world being kind because you get a lot
Right.
farther that way.
And ask yourself, why do you got to villainize others? Like,
Yeah.
what do we have to, like, because I feel you give your power away when you villainize others. Like, no one else is in control of your emotions. You are. Hopefully, at this,
Yeah.
all of you, anybody listening, hopefully you are in control of your emotions. If you do not feel, and this is like my PSA, if you do not feel in charge of your emotions, start doing some online free chat GPT therapy, just talk to things that you should be able to control your emotions. And we can because
Hmm.
we go to work, a lot of us go to 9 to 5s, or I did, and all day you know how to control your emotions. You can't now in traffic. You
Yeah.
can. You
It's
really can. You
yeah.
you can at home. You can when somebody irritates you. You're able to hold your composure as people do it with even the worst boss. So I think emotional control to me is like so strong. And I also like that you killed her with kindness. Like I'm a
Yeah. I know. Like here, let me buy you a coffee. Maybe you'll feel
you need
better.
some positive energy.
Right, exactly. Let me help you out. Then you
Positive,
won't maybe you
negative.
won't honk at someone else later. Like nobody honks in Sarasota. Like, really, you're honking? I was like,
Not
where am
here,
I? Yeah.
right? I think you
Um,
have one for me, and I have one more for you.
okay, okay. So have you written a chapter in a book? Have you written a book? Like, did you write in the first book? Did you write a chapter in that book? And this is because I don't actually know the answer to this question.
Yeah, so this is crazy. So the whole way this whole collective thing started is prior to the pandemic, I wrote a whole book called Swim, Succeeding with an Impact Mindset. It is the basis of my first TED Talk. My second TED Talk's called Self-Loathing as a Motherfucker, because that's me. But my first one, Succeeding with an Impact Mindset, it's a really nerdy thing about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and how generosity of spirit is the highest human experience, and that we get resources by becoming one, and so on and so forth. Anyway, write the whole book, TED Talk plan, white suit, a little bit of ego, but I was excited. Then the pandemic happens, and I was like, girl, read the room, honey. Don't publish this thing. Do not. It is not the time. No one wants to hear your positive Pollyanna, like, go
Yeah.
holy shit. I mean, there was no toilet paper. It was an election year. It was just not the time. And I had already paid my editor, Corey, who you know who still works on the books with us. Shout out to Corey. And I was like, listen, how can I get a book? Now it's really sad to me. Like, why now we can't talk about kindness? Like, I feel a type of way about it, but I'm also not going to be that girl. Like, I'm not going to be like the clipboard Susie.
Mm,
So I was like, can I write a book about kindness? Like, maybe not like do shit, but like think about it.
right.
Being nice, being kind, or is that manipulative? That type of thing. So I found 14 other kindness weirdos like myself around the whole world, Amsterdam, London, Paris, blah, 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 and we wrote a book about kindness. So yes, I have contributed chapters in each of these books. That was the original collective, which spun on to where we're at today. And so I realized somewhere along the lines around your book or something that I wasn't really putting myself much in anywhere. I mean, my entire outside of work career has been about promoting others all the time.
Mm, yep.
And so now in the beginning of each book, I'm writing a little chapter about that city and when I first came to know it and what I learned. So I just did Vegas. Like when I went to Vegas, I was 21. And my parents took me for like a birthday weekend. And then my dad like had a heart issue in his hotel room like the night before we were supposed to leave. And we got stuck in Vegas for like a week.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's not a place you want to be stuck, stressed out for like a week.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we like anyway, so in Vegas I shared that. So a little bit more and more. I would love to share. I joke that I'm just building an audience now. So
Yeah.
now you guys owe me one when I put the book out to like read my book in my chapter. But it's been an interesting ride. That's also why I'm excited about the podcast. I think the opportunity to share some of that, especially I'm like you, I'll show you my dirty laundry. I don't mind. Like I want someone else to know it's okay to be human. And if I have to be
Right.
the person to go first and say, hey, I didn't do it perfectly, I didn't come here to be right. I came here to be happy.
Mhm.
And I would like to liberate more people to feel that way. And my life has been full of hijinks. So we'll see.
Yeah. I
Sure
mean,
it
I
happened
think
to me.
you have an amazing story. I mean, from the parts that I know of it, and I think that it would really benefit a lot of women. So, when
Yeah.
you find time for yourself to write your own book, then I can't
Well,
wait
now
to
my
read
own
it.
boss. So I
Yeah.
don't need a
Yeah.
meeting scheduled that I don't schedule myself. But no, I would really like to. And I think you know, a lot of the women who in this project really don't, they know pieces maybe or the backstory. Like I would love to share some of that because a lot of my story now, because I haven't told it yet, includes all of these women who built me into the
Mm,
woman that can run this thing and be the woman. When I started the series, like I was like a hot mess. Like I was in a place, I became what I created, right?
hmm.
And I think that's important too, is that you get in the room with people that you think are beyond. It's like because you want people around you that like inspire you and motivate you and make you think like you can do so many more things. And I needed hundreds of women to tell me, we went for it. Like, what
Yeah. You
you're
can
still
do it.
scared over there? Like, do
Mhm.
it. So yeah, but in closing, I want to just ask, you know, what are the next few years for you plan? Like, do you have besides the book coming out in February and it mentioned that, but what's next for you right now?
So I'm really focusing on my speaking. If anybody needs a speaker, I
Yes.
raise my hand. So I speak on really two big topics right now. One is building confidence because I think it's such an important thing when you look at statistics. Even today, I mean, we look at and across the board, but women, 80% of women struggle with low self-esteem. Only 4% of women consider themselves beautiful. I mean, there's all these crazy statistics, and you're like, how is this still possible? But this is what's still happening. And the second thing I speak on is a concept called kitchen table leadership. So it's really about everyday leadership. You don't need to wait for a title. You don't need someone else to give you permission. Like you just step in. You do what you think you're meant to do. And sometimes it's messy and sometimes it's behind the scenes, but that's all leadership. And a lot of times, especially as women, we don't necessarily see ourselves as leaders because we're like, oh, I'm just doing what I think I have to do. And that's bullshit. Like you are a leader because of stepping up every day, the things you do behind the scenes, the way you talk to your kids, like that's leadership. And so I just want to get that message out in the world too. So just focusing on building the speaking and getting this book out in the world. It's like a long time coming and I already have the idea for the next book. So we'll see how it goes.
Yay.
Yeah.
I love that. And everybody look behind her because I just realized your first book is actually on the bookshelf behind you.
Yes.
Extraordinary, Unordinary You. So you guys can get that now. It's available on Amazon. Also, you can check out Simone's story as well as a bunch of other wonderful women in the Slaying Sarasota collective, full of just awesome, just really, yeah. They became one of the closest groups. And it's so nice to see women genuinely supporting women and collaboration over competition, not just being a meme. That's a beautiful thing. Also tell them how to get in contact with you. How do they find you online?
Best way to find me is just on my website, SimoneKnego.com, SimoneKnego. I say this pretty much on every podcast. I'm the only Simone Knego in the world until someone names their baby after me. So even if you spell my name wrong, I believe you will find me. But I'm on all social media, and our podcast is Her Unshakable Confidence. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I just come message me, right? I love to talk,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, and listen to the podcast with her and her daughter. If you have a
Yeah.
daughter, just to hear two different generations kind of mending some mental health things and working through things we all face. Like it's a terrific show. And yeah, I mean, come back anytime. I'm hopefully coming over to your other side of
Yes.
your microphone. And yeah, I adore you. Thank you for being on the show. Stay on with me. I'm gonna say goodbye. Goodbye. Talk to you guys soon.